Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say call halal, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakah, Akwadash. I want to send double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. I want to send much peace, love, and salutations to Yakim out there pushing the word of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, in sincerity and truth. This is Brother Ariala, and this is another path of the Motb. All right, 6G in future technologies. 6G has been basically announced by the West. It's something that has already been implemented by the East, as far as China, India, and other of the more technologically advanced Eastern nations. But 6G is something that's been on the radar for quite some time, but now it's getting mainstream notice as America tries to catch up with the East as far as technology. And all of this shows you that there is no difference, and I always keep saying this, there is not some big difference in what the East and the West is doing. This is simply that China and the East were the template and launch board for the West to chase after and say, well, we need to catch up with China. We need to catch up with these other emerging markets so we don't get beat, okay? They're just using the back and forth, the order out of chaos, all right, of basically the threat of China and its economy and everything like that. And that's why you start to see these skirmishes happening right now, which we'll talk about on the World War III algorithm, Lord willing, tomorrow. What's going on in Taiwan, which is the #1 chip maker in the world. And basically you see China flexing itself with war games in and around Taiwan, saying, hey, if we were to invade, we completely have the capability. And then the Western nations, as the United States is an ally of Taiwan, having to put everything on high alert with Taiwan. So all of this posturing and everything that they're doing is ramping up for a great economic upheaval and us launching into this new digital Motb age. Okay, and 6G is a very big part of it, because AI, in order for it to handle the amount of data that'll be coming in once they put this stuff inside of you, it needs it to be able to run the data in real time. It doesn't. If it lags just a little bit, it can completely throw off the machine. And 6G is one of the pieces of the requirements for the Motb to run smoothly. Okay, so I'm gonna read this article, play a couple of clips, go over a couple of scriptures. These are scriptures that we've all gone over many times, but as we progress and see prophecy unfold, we're gonna keep going back over these scriptures. The first scripture that I'm gonna touch on is Daniel, the 12th chapter, and the 4th verse. It says, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." All right, and we're seeing that with Esau's technology, and people are trying to get back to uncover the secrets of the universe and manipulate the secrets of the universe. Now, we know that it's going to be a massive failure, but knowledge shall be increased, okay? And 6G allows them to have more capability with AI and what they want to do in real time. All right, so this is an article that the brother sent a couple of days ago on rudevulture.com, and it's titled, "White House's 6G Directive Mentions Implantable Tech Raising Alarm Online." A presidential memorandum about America's 6G strategy has sparked widespread alarm on social media, with critics warning that the government is paving the way for technology to be implanted directly into bodies. Now, we know this is true because the scripture said that they wanted to do this. We always mention that word mark in the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter, and how when you look that word up, the word in the Greek is charagma, which means something that's implanted, something that's stamped into you. All right? And this was going to be the mark of the beast. Yes, so the technology for that's going to be implanted directly into the human bodies is something that's been foretold. Right? President Trump's December 19th memorandum titled "Winning the 6G Race" has drawn attention for one particular phrase buried in its opening paragraph. The document states that 6G technology will pave a pivotal role in the development and adoption of emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, robotics, and implantable technologies. Right? This explicit mention of implantable technologies in a presidential directive has triggered intense debate online, with many questioning what role the government envisions for devices that would be placed inside the human body and connected to next generation wireless networks. So you're going to be placed into Esau's digital godhead. We always did videos on this, man. Right? So they gotta like I said, they're saying that this is a race with China. It's not. All right. It's gonna be a merge with the East, and these central banking authorities and these top level elites are gonna want the whole world to be underneath this digital system. Okay. It may seem disenfranchised, meaning like there's no central ruling. But it is, all right, because they're going to be in control of what the AI does and how it polices the world, right? It says the fears have been amplified by resurfacing of comments from Nokia CEO Pekka Lundmark, who made a startling prediction at the World Economic Forum in Davos 3 years ago. Speaking on a panel in 2022, Lundmark said he expects 6G to reach the market around 2030, and at that point, the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the most common interface. Then came the line that's now going viral. Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies, and they were saying this in 2022. And like we said, AI technology is moving so fast that the 2030 landmark, it's already past. It's already going to be sooner than that. It's not going to take till 2030 to get this done. And China has been done rolled out 6G. And if you don't think the military's using 6G, you're just a fool. Okay. So at the time, Lundmark's comments seemed like speculative futurism from a tech executive imagining distant possibilities. But with the White House now explicitly linking 6G policy to implantable technologies, many are reading his words as a warning that went unheeded. And it didn't go unheeded from the prophets. We've been telling everybody about this since we came on the scene back in 2007. And our apostles and bishops and elders have been preaching about this for over 30-something years. And if you go to Apostle Tahar's page, he pulls up proof of some of their older videos teaching about the mark and what it was. Okay? But like we said, it's going to be a thief in the night to most people because most people are clouded with darkness, man. They're just living their lives as bugs on the earth. All right, and they believe anything that the media tells them. They tell them it's going to be good for them. They eat it all up. You know. 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11 says, "Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." See, we've been to stand on top of this thing through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai. We're not ignorant of the devices of Satan. You got other Israelite groups telling you that the mark is Christianity or a cokehead white girl or an embargo, but they won't go and break the word down. They won't go and put it in context of what the image of the beast is versus the mark of the beast. They won't go into how is that going to affect buying and selling and international trade and commerce. Because the embargo stops you from buying. This says that if you have this mark, then you can buy. So how is it an embargo if it's blocking you from buying? No, the mark is going to allow you to buy and sell. So that immediately checks out, embargoes and tariffs. But when you look, like we said, when you look the word up and you go into that word there in Revelation, the 13th chapter, it tells you it's something that's implantable, something that you stick inside of you, something stamped in. Okay? So these other groups are leading people astray. Because when they start rolling out these implantable devices, what are these people going to say to their congregations? They going to say the same thing about the C19 and just roll with it? Are you people in those congregations going to be foolish enough to listen to them again? We will hope not. Okay? Piece by piece, they're rolling this thing on out. All right? Let's see. That's all I'm going to read on that. I'm going to go to this right here.
Experience the digital world. And here is the catch. 5G isn't the end of the line. In fact, it's just the warm-up. What comes next will completely flip how we connect, compute, and experience the digital world. And here is the catch. Most people have no idea what's already being built. This isn't just about faster downloads. It's about new infrastructure that could blur the line between the internet and the reality. The question isn't whether we are ready for it. The question is, who is controlling what's coming next? Let's get one thing straight. The conversation about what comes after 5G is not about bumping up your signal bars. It's about redefining how wireless systems function at the most basic level. We're talking about 6G, but the number doesn't capture what's really happening. If 5G was about connecting more devices faster, 6G is about creating intelligence at the edge of the network. Imagine if the network itself could understand what you need before you even ask. That's the direction this is heading. 6G is still in development, but countries and corporations are already fighting over it. The race is on. The US, China, the EU, South Korea, and Japan are all throwing resources into labs, test beds, and pilot projects. And the goal isn't just better performance, it's about control. Whoever builds and patents the foundational tech behind 6G will shape the global digital ecosystem for the next 30 years. Right now, the conversation centers on what's called terahertz frequencies. 5G expanded into the millimeter wave band. 6G is looking to go even further up.
So this 6G technology is going to try to mimic the nervous system and how fast impulses and data is ran through your body from the brain. So they're trying to make an artificial mind and brain unit that runs all the data and information that's moving all across the world in real time. Okay, and 6G is going to open things up for their capability. What this guy is saying is whoever controls these systems, which it will be the elite, it won't be a country. It will be a group of people who owns the corporations and governments and institutions that govern your world. They will be the ones. They can put an Elon Musk up there or Xi Jinping or whoever, but those are just puppets underneath a more powerful group of people. That's why it says in the book of Psalm 64 to hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, because the people who really run the world, you don't see them. They're not on TV. They're not doing interviews. They're not at Davos. You don't see them. Okay? They're the people that allow a Davos to happen, or a trilateral commission, or so on and so forth. Okay. Now you can go and watch the rest of this video. Is why you won't need a phone in the 6G future. Some really good information in here, but I'm going to skip ahead for the sake of time. Okay.
Well, forget about 5G. Get ready for 6G networks. Remember when...
And there's going to be a lot of stuff like, even when I'm looking at him now, it looks fake. It looks like AI, right? So we're going to be seeing a lot more. 6G is going to allow for a lot more. You're going to see a lot more propaganda being pushed out as 6G rolls out. There's going to be a lot more fake propaganda going on.
180 scientists from 36 countries wrote to the European Union demanding that they stop the rollout of 5G because of massive health concerns. Remember how they warned governments that we absolutely should not deploy this technology until we studied the long-term effects on human beings? Well, let me read it for you. We, the undersigned scientists, recommend a moratorium on the rollout of the 5th generation 5G until potential hazards for human health and the environment have been fully investigated by scientists independent from industry. 5G will substantially increase exposure to radio frequency like electromagnetic fields, RF, EMF.
And we will talk about this because when you go to the scripture, let's say Revelation 16, it talks about the effects of taking the mark, you know. And when you read Revelation 16:1, it says, "And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of the Most High upon earth." All right, so there's these judgments. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. So, you know, it's interesting that, you know, that he's talking about this radiation and everything like that. These people that are going to be taking these C-hips, these chips, they're going to be getting grievous sores, man. All right. Let's see what this says. Intense desire, pain. This word, ponos. Oh, did I go back? Okay, yeah. It says bringing toils, annoyance, peril of times, bad nature in the physical sense, diseased or blind, right? So you'll see these things. A grievous sore is going to be on the people who receive this mark, man, because they don't know how this stuff is going to affect people's bodies. They don't care. That's why they rolled out the 5G and people were getting headaches. Birds was falling all out the sky. All types of weird stuff was happening.
Proven to be harmful for humans and the environment. Yeah, well, they blew right past that. They didn't give a hoot about it. They ignored the scientists. They rolled it out anyway. And now, without addressing one single of those concerns, they're preparing to unleash something far more powerful, far more invasive, and potentially far more dangerous, 6G. So here today, I wanted to break down exactly what this technology is, how it works, why governments and corporations are racing to deploy it right now, and why, once again, experts and scientists are sounding the alarm about its risks, from cybersecurity to surveillance to national security to human health. Like across the board, they're criticizing this. Because once you understand what 6G actually does, you'll understand why this isn't just like another tech upgrade, like some guy up on a tower just like upgrading a transformer. It will be a transformation of human life and possibly a threat to it, in the very same way that mRNA vaccines changed millions of lives. So what is 6G exactly? So let's start with some of the basics. 6G is the 6th generation of the cellular network technology, the thing that's supposed to replace 5G. Of course, that's the obvious part. But unlike previous upgrades, the jump from 5G to 6G is actually massive. 6G will operate on frequencies far higher than anything used today. It's extremely tight. It's like laser-like beams of energy that can deliver unimaginable data speeds, near zero latency. Now, I've spoken to sources who've worked for these companies, and they've told me their business plan is to basically eliminate your need for Wi-Fi in your home. Like, you won't need to call up Comcast. You won't need to call up any other providers because 6G will just be all around you.
Yep. And so to understand his terminology about latency, I want you to think about your thoughts. I'm going to say a couple of words, and that's how quick 6G is going to work. Red. Elephant. 13. Black. Pen. You see how quickly those images came into your brain when I said those words? That's how quick 6G is going to be. Okay? That's what he's talking about.
Why would you pay for Comcast? It's going to be super fast, so no need to get Xfinity in your home. No need to have a router in your home. That's the plan. I've seen the documents, and I've talked to the techs who are actually building this out. So here's the major difference, though, between 5G and 6G. 6G will be AI native, of course. So everything's AI, right? Artificial intelligence won't be just an add-on. It will be built into the network at every level. The system will make real-time decisions. It'll reroute traffic. It'll identify patterns. And by the way, it'll self-heal itself without a single human being even being involved in it. Skynet, I guess, right? So this
exactly what it is. You know, in Terminator, they showed you the power of these AI computed systems that are able to think in real time and make decisions on the go. Well, that's what they want this network to do, where they program an AI and it'll control everything about everything you can think about. You know what I'm saying? From traffic lights to when you go to the store, everything will be in real time, man. You know, it will be a point to where you won't need a phone. Everything will be digitized. You will be scanned and read at every moment and every point. Okay. So they are getting ready to roll this out, bro. We've been telling you, man. And it's moving faster and faster and faster.
This network becomes autonomous. So in other words, this is the first time in history that we are creating a communication system that actually thinks for itself and heals itself. So how does this 6G actually work? Well, let's break this down. 5G runs mostly on sub-G 6 gigahertz and some millimeter wave frequencies. 6G leaps into the terahertz spectrum, roughly 100 times faster than 5G. But those frequencies can't travel far. They get blocked by like cement walls and trees. Even humidity blocks it. Good luck, Florida. So how do you actually blanket an entire country or the entire planet with something that barely travels and humidity gets in the way? Well, the answer is both ingenious and actually pretty terrifying. They're using reconfigurable intelligence surfaces. These are walls, windows, street signs, and everyday objects that are turned into active components of the network, capable of redirecting wireless.
And they've already been doing this. And brothers have been monitoring how you have these new different street lights that they've been put in. They've been laying down all different type of fiber optic cabling that is inside the walls, that is underneath the ground, that is inside the roads. They've been laying the foundation for this for over a decade. Okay.
Signals like mirrors. In fact, one of the techs I spoke to about this said, just imagine walking down the street and every stop sign you see, every telephone pole you see, or every other metal pole you see right outside of your apartment would have one of these like 6G components on it. In other words, the environment becomes the network with massive antenna grids, thousands, even millions of synchronized micro antennas that can track and beam signals directly to you with extreme precision. And 6G doesn't just broadcast, it actually targets, it actually shapes like the signal around you. And then, by the way, it follows you wherever you go. It adjusts itself automatically based on your environment, your movement, and your behavior. This is why surveillance experts are sounding the alarm, as you can imagine. 6G isn't just about faster phones, it's about the creation of a constantly sensing, constantly tracking digital ecosystem. So more about this AI native part of it, because it's important. AI changes everything, and 6G will, number one, predict your movement, anticipate traffic flow, detect behavioral anomalies, like we've been covering.
So they want to be like the Most High, like the scriptures say. They want to be like the Heavenly Father, knowing all and seeing all. And after they lay down the environment, what do you think you're going to have to do? You're going to have to integrate with that environment, meaning you're going to have that technology inside of you, right? Ezekiel 28:2 says, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Lord power, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God, I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man and not the Most High, though thou set thine heart as the heart of the Most High. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. With thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasure. Right? By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic, right, hast thou increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. All right, so this is the mindset that Esau has now. Now, obviously, you know, Elder Yashawamba likes to go over Ezekiel 28 and talk about, the history of Tyrus and everything like that. But this current system, Esau is likened unto the prince of Tyrus, man. Whether you see all, you know all, you're in control of everything, you're in control of all the transactions that are going around. You know where everybody is. You're tracking and tracing everybody with your technology. All right. But the Most High is going to bring great conflict at this time. That's why it says in verse 6, therefore thus saith the Lord, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of the Most High, behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and shall defile thy brightness. Right? So this is how we know we're getting really, really close to the launch of the Motb, and then into absolute Armageddon. And we see the rumors of wars that are happening all around right now. Like I said, we will follow up and do a World War III algorithm, Lord willing, tomorrow. Okay? But all of these things are happening. I'm going to let him finish up.
Covering this, right? Oh, this person's like antisocial. This person doesn't leave their house on a regular basis. We should flag that. Maybe he's a terrorist. It'll also enforce automated restrictions. It'll also integrate with that digital ID system, of course. And it'll make split-second decisions without any human oversight. So this becomes the nervous system of like a hyper-connected society. Every camera, every sensor, every vehicle, every appliance in your home, every wearable, like every medical device, all feeding data into a single unified intelligent network. So 6G isn't just faster, it's aware of everything that you're doing. And that raises some serious concerns. So when will 6G actually arrive? Well, right now 6G is in research and development. Tests began back in 2020. Prototypes are already being deployed worldwide. Most experts predict, though, a full commercial launch by the year 2030.
But it's probably going to be faster than that. We already see that most of these technologies are here.
So just 5 years away. But here's the truth. You're already being exposed to early versions of this technology. And the dangers aren't hypothetical. They're actually happening right now. Let's look at 3 of the biggest risks according to early data. Take a look at this. We kind of broke this down in this piece. Number 1, data privacy basically collapses. So 6G will connect billions more devices than 5G ever could. That means your location, your biometrics, your shopping habits, your health data, your household devices, your movement patterns, all of it being tracked in real time and all analyzed by AI, and then all stored somewhere that you'll never see. This is like surveillance capitalism on steroids. So when you see this new network you're opting into, you get zero privacy. Number 2, nation-state cyber warfare. With 6G, cyber warfare shifts from hacking computers to disabling entire societies. Think about it. Hospitals, power grids, financial systems, transportation networks, military operations, everything becomes a target.
And they'll use that right there to actually launch even higher, more powerful technology. They'll jump from 6G to the next thing instantaneously. How are we going to keep all of this stuff safe? How are we going to make it to where it cannot be hacked? All of these things are leading to the Motb. They're just going to keep going. This is why we say the earth needs new management. You have to get this guy out of the power seat. That's why the scripture says that the righteous shall scarcely be saved, because with this man in power, it's just going to become more and more wicked.
And then with those terahertz speeds, attacks happen faster than humans can even respond to it. And then number 3, government abuse, because the government never abuses us, right? But this is all going to be part of it. This is the most predictable threat of all, of course. With 6G, governments could have real-time citizen tracking, which is what they want. They want behavioral mapping, which is what they're rolling out right now in Gaza, as we covered here on the show with Palantir. They've automated law enforcement, pre-crime detection, like, oh, Clayton hasn't left the house in a few days. Maybe he's plotting a terrorist act or something. social credit score. You know, you've traveled too much and your carbon footprint is too much, so we don't think you should be allowed to buy gasoline for the next month because you traveled too much to see grandma 4 hours away. And that it'll also have a seamless digital ID enforcement, all of it. This is the next level of control, and this network makes this possible.
Yep, well, they can turn it on and turn off your rights at will. But they'll roll it out as the next convenient, savvy way for us to integrate with the world and the people in it. Right? And just like he said, and like I'm saying, this stuff is moving quickly. Sirach chapter 12, verse 10 says, "Never trust an enemy. His wickedness is as destructive as rust. Watch out and be on guard against him, even if he acts ever so humble. He is like a metal mirror that rusts away if you don't keep it polished. Seat an enemy at your right hand, and the next thing you know, he'll be trying to get your own place of honor. Put him next to you, and he will overthrow you." And that's what you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans have done. You've seated your enemy next to you. You've taken down his philosophies and mindset and ways, and now you're in a position where this man is over you and taking your honor. Look at you Native Americans. You guys are relegated to reservations and casinos, drinking firewater. You so-called Latinos are speaking Spanish, acting like that's your native tongue and proud of it. Okay? And you worship the so-called white man that hates your guts. And don't get me started, you so-called Negroes. You completely through. You're supposed to be a leader. Your women run your men. Your kids are out of control. The whole world talks down on you so-called Negroes. I mean, go to Twitter X. It's just nothing but bashing niggas all day there. And most of the stuff is correct. Okay? You've set your enemy by you, and now he's looking to implant devices inside of you. He's got the whole world monitor underneath his digital systems. Okay? And the whole world is dying of pollution in all different types of ways. Right? That's why the Most High is raising up his elect, man, that's going to praise his name and justify the Lord to come back and reset everything, recalibrate everything. All right? It says, "Put him next to you and he will overthrow you. Then you will realize the truth of my words and be stung with regret when you remember them. Nobody feels sorry for the snake charmers or wild animal tamers who got bitten. And nobody will sorry for you if you run around with sinners and get involved in their wrongdoing." Okay, so as they roll this stuff out, they're gonna try to, make propaganda to make it sound good and this and that, man. But we understand the prophecies, and these false prophets that are out here telling you that they don't want you to be integrated with this digital system the way it talks about in Revelation 13. Take heed, lest you fall with them, man. So with that, man, if you want to go and watch more of this video, it's on Redacted. And like I said, the other video I had it's called Systems Decoded. I would say listen to the first 8 to 9 minutes, and it's got some really good information right there. And then this first article that I read that the brother sent is from rudevulture.com. So with that, man, Lord willing, that was edifying, man. I want to say call hello Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Rakakodash. Double honors once again to the apostles, the elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, salutations to Yah. I'm out there pushing the glory of Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, and sincerity and truth. Shalom.